guys seem to have a lot of fun with the cameras, so and the booze and all that. So tell me about that. How did that make you feel?
Sorry. Also state your name and what outlet you're representing.
I'm sorry.
before
Last
we go
week
any
was
questions.
different. My name's Jessica. I am from the game house. So, you guys had a lot of fun with those cameras and the booze. So
Yes.
tell me how.
Yes, we did.
Tell me how that felt and what you were thinking.
Want me to take this one?
You were having more fun than me with it.
You were
That's
having
true.
more fun.
So one thing I like to do whenever I go on stage, and the mindset I try to go into every game, like the reason I'm here is to have as much fun as possible. And getting booed at is actually really, really fun. And it like feels some kind of part of me that I didn't know I had. I also had this reputation of being like a really wholesome and nice player, but that's not who I am at all. So I just wanted to show everybody that I'm just kind of an asshole.
Oh.
That's kind of the point. Maybe not.
Well, so I'm Sebastian from GG Recon. My question's for Corey. So coming into last season, the Washington Justice got a lot of criticism for their roster, right, putting that together. And everybody was like, oh, Corey, who's that? Now that you've built your reputation as like such a really high caliber player, you know, how does that feel for you personally and going into this season?
The feels pretty good. I mean, it has a lot of weight to carry with it, so it makes me feel like I have to perform in every match. For the most part, it's just like whatever people think. I mean, I just do me, so.
Thanks.
Jonathan Fippen, Watchpoint Lobby. To go off of that, how do you guys feel now that you know it's a new season? You guys are up against one of the higher rated teams in the league at their homestand. You guys put on a pretty good fight. How do you feel? Feel good about how well you did considering the circumstances?
I mean, I'd say it's definitely feels good to have like such a close game. A little disappointing to lose, of course. I mean, no one likes losing, but definitely shows that like we're definitely a strong team against another strong team. So.
Eric from Edge of Philly Sports. So how do you guys feel about this Philly crowd, and what do you think about this like new format that the league has with the home series?
You want me to take this one? Philly crowd, I have a lot of fun with. I like getting booed. It's actually pretty enjoyable. But no, seriously, like to counter across my statement of me calling myself an asshole, I do think like the people that have gotten here, like everybody that's a fan of the game, I really do appreciate. And just going on stage and having fun is just amazing. The new format, I do think is really fun, and I think LA was cool before, but it's nice to be able to go around and see new people who didn't have the option of like flying out to LA every single match. So I think it's really good. I think it's really good for the Overwatch League.
Awesome, thank you. So my question's for John Galt.
Sure, yeah, I'm
Awesome.
John.
So you're coming in from the LA Gladiators. Firstly, what are some of the lessons that you learned from that team that you want to bring to the Washington Justice? And then secondly, what's your overall vision and goal for your roster this year?
So LA Gladiators was a mixed team. So I think one of the things I brought over was I understood how important communication is. If having Korean players, having players from America, I think it's really, really important and vital, just like we did in the Gladiators, to make sure that everyone vibe together really well, and operate off the same page of like visions and priority. My vision for the team is I would like Justice to be a really, really aggressive team, for the players to be really, really smart and come up with their own ideas, and to be able to take that energy, bring it to stage, and then execute that combination of both like really smart play and really aggressive play.
Thank you.
Darby Joyce, OverwatchLeague.com. Is there anything you've learned from the homestand experience this week so far that you plan on using next week in your own homestand? And that's for any of you guys.
I'd say the home crowd advantage is definitely something huge. Just like kind of getting hyped up by your own crowd, your own fans, is definitely a morale booster. So I mean, that's like the main thing, I'd say.
Harrison Brown from Total Sports Live. What did you guys think was the best thing that the Fusion did today?
Ooh, the best thing they did. I mean, to be honest, I think they mixed up their compositions pretty well. Like, we were expecting a lot more Rhine Diva than we got, and they played a lot more double shield than we expected. So, like, they had a good mix-up of strategies and like a good variety of stuff going towards us. And whenever stuff wasn't working, they were able to mix it up. I think that, especially considering like kind of the lack of practice that some teams get, is really, really important. So the fact that they were able to bring that into a match is good. That's good from them.
To touch on your point about compositions, I noticed there was a fair difference from this week to last week. Like, I know a lot of teams ran Dive last week on Horizon and Anubis, most notably MIXL. Was there, like, why did you guys not do that? Did you feel more comfortable in this composition? Did you just think it was better?
I think composition is something like Overwatch is in a place right now. Overwatch meta is in a place right now where there are many options that you could dive on Anubis, you could dive on HRC, you could also play bunker on both of these two CP maps. So I think one important thing is all these teams are finding their own play style, what they're comfortable with. If they're comfortable with dive, for example NYXL, they might go dive. For some teams that prefer to double shield bunker, like Philadelphia, might decide to do that on Anubis instead. Yeah.
So we're getting hero polls next month. So you seem very excited about
Hey.
that. So what do you think is going to change about the way you prepare for games once those things happen?
Oh, I can take this one. It's mostly a question for you, I think. But
It's okay. Go ahead.
so from my understanding, the top most played heroes are going to be put into a random lottery and then be banned. 2 in DPS, 1 in tank, 1 in support. So my guess is that preparation won't matter at all. It'll just kind of be like whoever can make the most plays consistently together. Like I still think the teams that are good now are going to be good later. It's just now there's going to be some wild card stuff, like maybe some team that has a really strong Widowmaker player that can't play other heroes, cannot switch over and like adapt to that kind of thing. I don't know. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how that works out, I think.
I think we're also really happy with the fact that we stayed with a small roster. I think some of the teams that have the bigger rosters are going to struggle both with mixing up compositions and who they're choosing to put on stage. Because we went with a smaller roster, all of our players know that we need them to be flexible. Anyway, we weren't expecting anyone to be able to one trick or just specialize in one thing. So we came into the season with that mentality. So I think once a lot of teams have to change gears into that, I think all of our players are ready to do that.
So speaking of coming into this season, for the people who were on the Justice last year, what's the biggest or what are the key differences between 2019 Justice and 2020 Justice? You can answer that too, Pri.
Yes, you guys want it or you want me to? I'll do that.
You pick the players.
True. I think probably the biggest difference starts at the coaching level and heads on down. I think every season you start trying to build the best roster that you can, but I think that our coaches this year are taking a really well-rounded approach. I think when we were even interviewing coaches, I think that there's kind of two prevailing coaching mentalities in the Overwatch League. There's people that think strategy above all, and if you're winning, if your strategy is good, the team socially will mesh, you'll like work well together, and there's people that take a more well-rounded approach. I think last year we really kind of went all in on good strategy, good analytics is going to be enough, and relationships and synergy will just build the team that is executing strategy. I think John and our assistant coaching staff are taking a much more well-rounded approach this year, which I think is working for us, and it's going to keep getting better as the season goes on. It's really important, especially for one of the rosters that saw a lot more turnover. I think that's going to kind of keep paying dividends for us through the season.
Awesome, thank you.
I know the loss is fresh in your mind, but is there anything you guys can improve for tomorrow's game?
I think we are at a stage where we know what we are good at and what we need to focus on. So for Outlaws, I don't think we'll be changing much. We just need to play how we have played in practice, and I think we're going to beat Outlaws.
I think to add on to that too, this is the first time as a team that we've played on stage, so we kind of have a better idea of like how we perform and what areas we can work on, like John was saying. So we're feeling pretty comfortable. Yeah.
So my question is for Corey. On Kings Row, I think you swapped about like 3 or 4 times onto different heroes. Is that something that you go over the coaches with, that you have set up and feel comfortable with, or is this something that they like, you know, it's a decision that you made that you feel was best for the game?
Usually it's like in-game like instinct or like random idea that pops in the head. I mean, there's always a reason why I would swap a hero. I wouldn't just swap a hero.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
for a reason.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say it's like something that I just thought of in game that I want to like try or think is good.
And to follow up on that, is that behavior you want to encourage, or is there, you know, a plan that you want to keep following in place?
Flexibility is a really, really important part of Overwatch League. So I think one of Corey's biggest strengths is understanding what DPS, the composition needs at an instance. In a couple of weeks, we'll be seeing hero bans and hero changes. And I think this concept of flexibility and the concept of playing really flexible to the enemy's weakness and strength is something that all our players embody, and especially Corey. So I think the swaps he made was it made sense in that moment in Kings Row. So whether strategies we can go through strategies like more in depth. I think the most important thing is the players need to understand what they want to do in the map, and Corey did that. Yeah.
All right, guys. One more question.
I know you guys are missing one of your players, Lolshus. Did that impact your your original plans for this match? Like, were you originally planning to field him, and then his visa issues got tied up? What happened there, and how you guys adapt to that? Aaron.
Yeah, I think that the visa issues is something that's been fairly long-tailed, so we were ready to have Roy. It didn't really come as a surprise to us that he was going to be stepping up there. Even in the scrimmages that we did have, we were able to get, I think, higher quality practice in with Roy just because of the ping issues associated with the distance. So we were comfortable, we were ready for that. Our hope is that Lowell can come soon. He is still participating fully in practices and all of that, so I think it should be pretty seamless once he comes over. But I don't think that contributed to the outcome today.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.